Well, thank you for your insights. Of course, the key issue is the political will. And if there is no political will, probably there are no invitation. If there are invitation, is late, and then we start bargaining on the administrative memorandum of understanding, and at the end, we have to cancel. And on the issue that you tackle in your paper, on let's push more emphasis in the transitions, in the country of the transition. I prefer that Neil later could elaborate on how the external service decide when to support incipient transition and when to warn the alarm in a backsliding authoritarian or illiberal regime. But the question is, your recommendations are devoted to reinforce the whole settings of enforcement measures of the human rights conditionality. But we are more modest, meaning we have a problem, and the problem is the lack of invitation for the electoral observation. Of course, we as the Parliament, we as DROA, one of the key issues is why GSP Plus is not functioning, why the democratic general conditionality is not working, how to really encounter the key to try that this conditionality would change the behavior of our interlocutor. But the question is more humble here. We have a problem. We are noticing that there are lack of invitation of countries that they normally invited us to the elections. Then it is okay to reinforce local and regional observation. This is perfectly okay. We try to do. We are very happy in some occasions. I think in Zimbabwe there is a good approach from our African colleagues. This is okay. We try to cover the domestic observers at the human rights actors, and then to protect them. We can upscale a little bit anything related, but the problem is still the same. We are noticing that could be a risk, could be a trend, not to receive the invitation. And not everything has to be about funding. I catch a point. You open a little bit away. Why don't we use the kind of not high-level legal frameworks, but the side letters in other way to try to, if not enforce, to invite or to express our gratitude or our good willing if we receive an invitation or not. But at the end, we always finish in the funding. Let's use funding conditionality. The minutes, if we fund an elections commission, if they don't act, we have to cut the program. I'm not sure if this is possible because this machinery on the other side of the Roubiliard is quite complicated, and it's very compartmentalized, and it's not easy. It's not easy even to have one single policy with the country, because the electoral observation, the recommendations could be completely disregarded by other parts of the European Union dealing with trade, and this is a problem on our side. But the question can't be only the funding. I think the funding is the most powerful leverage, and if we threaten a country to cut some programs because they didn't comply or didn't reach the benchmark or the intermediate benchmark they have decided, it could be a way. But again, I think it's overly ambitious. That means it's to hit flies with cannons, because our problem is more tiny. It's only to receive the invitations. And then we can use the general policy, the funding, the big agreements, the whole setting of human rights conditionality. This is okay. But our problem is minor in a way. And we are struggling with the human rights conditionality every day, in every meeting, in every mission we have. When we came to Vietnam, for example, this subcommittee. And at the end, what we see, we have not been able to really have the leverage to empower, to reinforce, or to obtain some gains with mandatory rules of Human Rights Committee, and then we have to wait for improve the, let's say, the general framework of our conditionality to try to improve this minor power problem of the invitation. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure really if that could be. I would like really, Neil, because the people involved in electoral observation, we will really that our recommendations after a mission could be, let's say, the paper that the external service has to in the general relation with the country, but it's not. It didn't happen, and I'm not sure if it is going to happen, because, of course, there are other legitimate considerations in other part of the House. I'm not discussing. I'm not blaming anyone on doing her duty. It could be to take care of the issue. It's like GSP. GSP is not driven to changes because nobody has been really retired of the GSP conditions. And at the end, they managed to create the narrative to say we are doing things, we have created a plan, we have drafted a plan and sent to the Parliament, we are changing, we have an action plan. Okay, nothing. At the end, nothing. And my question is, if we try to solve the whole setting of human rights conditionality to solve our minor problem of not having invitation, we have to wait for years, because this is a general issue. And well, this is my idea. And other is, you said, Armin, why not to use the electoral missions to follow the implementation, not of the electoral resolution, but the other commitments of the country related to democracy. For example, the ILO conventions, or other. I don't know what could be the idea of Neil, but we have a lot of work to do in an electoral mission, and the missions are designed to follow the electoral process. And if we add to this task other general tasks about the implementation of other commitments of the country, I think could be, I'm not sure that it could be the best way. Who has to do this? The delegations. The delegation, our embassies, they have to follow any single commitment of this country towards the European Union. And it's not needed to add another task for the electoral mission. But these are my first reactions.